there is a massive churn going on in Nepal which could herald seismic change, across the board change. What is really going on in Nepal? The simple fact is that there is a deep level of disenchantment. It is actually surprising to see the level of disenchantment and disillusionment amongst the people of Nepal with the democratic dispensation. Democracy itself is the best governing system in the world, but then it depends on who operates it and how. The politicians of Nepal, I am afraid, have badly let down the people of Nepal. In the last 17 years, there have been 13 changes in the governments in Nepal. No government has lasted its full term. It has been a free-for-all of the Ayarams and the Gayarams who have been creating a musical chair in Kathmandu. One government comes, another goes, another comes. There is no continuity in governance, there is no continuity in policy frameworks, and worst of all, the worst part is the venal level of rank corruption. The Maoists had said they were lily white, that they had promised change, they would get in a kind of socialism and equality and ensure progress. Absolute nonsense. Nothing has been done. The levels of corruption have gone up so high that the Nepalese people are fed up. Their disillusionment, their disenchantment is clearly visible. When they are talking to the Indian correspondents, they are holding out their hearts on their sleeve. They yearn for the stability of the royalty era. Nepal then had stability, it had a leadership that everybody adored. The kingship was an institution that was worshipped. The king was worshipped as the ninth incarnation of Vishnu. He was the basis of the Hindu Rashtra, the Hindu nation state. The only nation state in the world that was a Hindu kingdom was the kingdom of Nepal. And we all know what has happened. The unfortunate decline of the monarchy started with the massacre in the palace by the prince who was, psychologically deranged. They had prevented him, they were preventing him from marrying the lady of his choice, and he retaliated by coming in uniform and shooting up his entire family. King Virendra and his entire family were assassinated, brutally gunned down in that palace, massacre. This had put off, shaken the faith of the people in the democracy, because, Virendra Shah died, his son also died, and therefore Gyanendra had to be brought in, his brother had to be brought in. So there was a level of disenchantment with the monarchy in Nepal because of this very foul murder that had taken place, of the massacre of the family that had taken place. It had shaken the faith of the people in the royalty. The then Congress government took the fullest advantage of this to stage a coup against the king, and they had been aiding the Maoist armed insurgency against the royalty in Nepal, against the rule of the king in Nepal, a Maoist insurgency, armed insurgency. I mean, the very notion, to spite the face, you cut the nose. That was the kind of equivalence that can only be drawn from this idiotic caper of trying to destabilize the Nepali monarchy, because it was felt that the Nepal monarch then was, getting very strong and assertive, and he had gone in for direct rule, and that he was taking arms aid from China. Well, he was taking arms aid from China because the then Congress government had stopped supplying weapons or ammunition to Nepal. So, I mean, can you blame the Nepalese then for trying to fight that communist armed insurgency? For God's sake, to what levels can you go to spite your own face? You chop off the nose. That's precisely what we did. We helped to get in the communists, the Maoists, the same Maoists that we are so energetically fighting in India proper. And we are now finally, the tide is turning against the Maoists in India, but this struggle had been going on for a couple of decades. You were fighting the same Maoists and then you go and support the same Maoists in Nepal. The whole enterprise was lunatic. It was lunatic to start with. And some of us had pointed it out, but at that stage, the orders were coming right from Delhi, and that was it. So in 2006, 2008, in that period, they got rid of the monarchy and brought in the so-called alliance of the democratic parties. 17 years, 13 governments. The people are sick of the ayarams and gairams. No government has lasted its full tenure. And, there is no continuity in policy perspectives. There is no economic development. And there is venal corruption of a level that is unprecedented. That is what has really pissed off the people of Nepal. That is why there is a yearning now for that old ancient regimen, that old era, at least when they had a charismatic king, they had stability, they had cultural stasis, and Nepal was the only Hindu kingdom. Now it is Madame Sonia Gandhi, an ardent Catholic who wanted to, whose secret ambition was to proselytize and, turn as much of India and Nepal into Christianity and hand it over more or less to the Pope as her contribution. But the roots of her angst go back to, a long time, 1998. She had gone along with then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to Nepal, and Rajiv Gandhi had to visit the Pashupatinath temple. And the priests in the temple denied her entry because she was a Christian, beef-eating Christian, and they denied her entry into the temple. They stuck to their grounds. She was furious, and so was Rahul Gandhi, and he asked the Raja of Nepal to intervene and make sure that she went in. The Raja of Nepal pleaded his helplessness because there are those cultural norms that he had to follow. He is the head of the Hindu state, So that is where, the Sonia Gandhi's animosity to the kingdom in Nepal had been deeply entrenched. And she got her chance to hit back almost a decade later, in 2006 to 2008, the period of churn, when India had helped orchestrate the Maoist insurgency and then gotten a coalition of 12 parties. And initially the thought was that there would be a constitutional monarchy, but then they went ahead and they, under the proddings of Sonia Gandhi, who was the real power behind the throne in the Manmohan Singh era, they orchestrated a coup to get rid of the monarchy in Nepal and turn a Hindu kingdom, the only Hindu kingdom in the world, into a secular democratic republic, etc. I have told you that republic was very poorly served by its politicians. The people of Nepal were poorly served, and today there is complete and total disenchantment. The levels of corruption, the lack of economic development, the lack of employment is pushing the Nepalese to go out, leave their country, go out and earn money in wherever. They are going to Japan in large numbers, they are going to the Middle East, etc., etc. Unfortunately, their major source of employment that was there in the Indian Army, with the Agniveers coming in, they have refused to send people to join the Indian Army. So there is a lot of turbulence in Nepal, and the people are genuinely angry and upset. They are also alarmed by threat to their identity as Hindus. 81% of Nepal population are Hindus, another 9% are Buddhists. And the Buddhists and the Hindus are both alarmed by the level of conversions that are taking place. So all these factors have combined to create a very volatile situation, and the anger of the people has boiled up. So let's cut to now. All that is history. What is happening now? The king of Nepal was advised by his loyalists to go around and meet the people. He had gone into more or less oblivion. He had gone into his palace and was not seen in public. But he was encouraged to go around, and he went around to western Nepal, to Terai region, all over Nepal, meeting the people, because he sensed that there was a genuine, deep-seated level of frustration against the present regime. And he went around and met the people, and when he came back to Nepal, there was a massive gathering. 5 to 6 lakh people had turned out. It has been played down deliberately by the Nepalese government and the other sources and even the other media, that only 10 to 15, 20,000 people were there, etc. The simple fact is, we've seen the videos, we've seen the pictures of the crowd, the mammoth crowds with their twin, triangular flags of Nepal, national flag of Nepal, and they were out in their lakhs to greet their king as he came back. And there was a move at that stage to take him straight back to the Narayan Hati palace and reinstall him by force. But the king, very wisely, he said, no, we do nothing illegal, and everything had to be done the right way. And he had said that I am open to whatever the people want. If they want constitutional monarchy, so be it. And why can't a constitutional monarchy function in Nepal? There is a constitutional monarchy in Great Britain, there is a constitutional monarchy in Japan, constitutional monarchy in Bhutan, and all working excellently. So I am very certain that this could equally function there. People now seem keen that no, the king should take full charge. But I think what it may boil down to is a kind of a return of constitutional monarchy, which would take Nepal back to its cultural roots. The people are keen that they should become a Hindu kingdom once again. And along with the pictures of the photographs of the king, we had the photographs of Yogi Adityanath. Now that was quite a surprise and quite a shock, but the simple fact people don't realize is Yogi Adityanath is the head of the Gorakshanath Peeth, of the Gorakshanath ashram in Gorakhpur. The word Gorkha comes from Gorakshanath, who is the ruling saint, the patron saint of the kingdom of Nepal. He has a very obvious deep cultural roots with the kingdom in Nepal and with the Hindus of Nepal. He is their guru. He inherits the seat of the gurus of Nepal, the Gorakshanath Samprada. And the word Gorkha comes from Gorakshanath. Very popular and famous tantric sage who had helped found the kingdom of Nepal, was the patron saint of the kingdom of Nepal. So quite obviously his posters are there not because he is the chief minister of the state of Uttar Pradesh, India's largest state, but because he has deep cultural ties, unbreakable cultural ties with the people of Nepal. So we had a series of rallies had been held before that in various towns and cities of Nepal, motorcycle rallies 10 to 15,000 strong, 50,000 strong, in almost all the big towns of Nepal, in western Nepal, in Nepalganj, in the Terai region, all over Nepal there have been this building up. The Rashtriya Prajatantrik Party, the pro-king party, has been extremely active in trying to fuel the revival, the urge, the demand for a revival of the monarchy in Nepal. So this Friday, last Friday, they were holding peaceful rallies in Kathmandu when they claim that the Nepalese police climbed up on top of a veterinary hospital building, and from there they fired tear gas shells and rubber bullets into that peaceful rally, which enraged the people. And there were massive crowds out that day, and they had said, we are giving a week to the government of Nepal to ensure the restoration of monarchy, otherwise chaos and mayhem will take place. Friday was a religious festival in Nepal of the Newars, and therefore they were not really planning on a very violent agitation. But when the police provoked by firing on the people who had gathered, and they were just giving lectures and talks to the people, they opened fire from the top of the roof with rubber bullets and this thing. As it is, about 2 people have been killed and about 40 to 50, in fact, in there hundreds of people have been wounded or injured in this the action by the Nepalese police. This angered the people, and they attacked that building from where the firing was coming. They set a newspaper office on fire, and they barricaded this thing, and then they went on a violent rampage through the whole of Nepal. About a crowd of 50,000 royalists had assembled at about 3 to 4 places, 50 to 60,000 strong, and the Maoists had staged a counter mobilization. About 15,000 of them were there, and there were fears of clashes. They did attack the headquarters of the Maoist party, etc. And Prachanda then went on record to threaten to arrest the king. His security detail has been reduced from 25 to just about 9, and the government of Nepal is now threatening to arrest the king. And that, of course, could lead to consequences on the street. It could really enrage the people, because it would be a very, very provocative step, extremely provocative step, and that could worsen the situation. So which way is this going? I don't see it petering out tamely. I'm sorry, because the feelings are very deep rooted. The people are really upset by the lack of development, by the lack of job opportunities, 12% unemployment, and to top it all, the corruption, and some parties and some individuals and families lording it over, ruling the roost, skimming the cream in that country, milking the people dry with their corrupt practices. So people are upset, and people are actually yearning for a change. It would be better if that change comes in a peaceful way, in a peaceful transition, and communists see the writing on the wall, and they try not to provoke bloodshed and violence. The Maoists themselves came in via violence. They had staged an armed insurgency against the royal regime in Nepal, and now it's coming back to haunt them. It's coming back to haunt them. The Nepalese monarchy now seems a beacon of hope to the impoverished people of Nepal. They are being accused of gold smuggling, weapon smuggling, drug peddling, and all that kind of thing. FTF, the Financial Action Task Force, is threatening to put sanctions onto Nepal and sanction Nepal, etc. Things are in a bad shape. There are lots of speculation that a number of the communist leaders in Nepal have been honey trapped by the Chinese who are ruling the roost, and Oli is trying to provoke India by being decidedly pro-China. So at a point in time, he will have to reap the whirlwind. It is their non-performance, abject non-performance. It is their corruption, corrupt practices, corrupt ways that have so put off the people of Nepal, really put them off, and the churn is very deep. The anger is very pervasive and is there for all to see. Those who have eyes can see what is happening in Nepal, and I do not see this moment petering out. I see it gathering strength. I see it gathering strength, and at the end of the day, the voice of the people is the voice of God. and I hope the voice of the people prevails in Nepal and they return to their Hindu roots. All that insecurity about their identity is fueling this unrest. Nepal was the only Hindu kingdom in the world, and it would be in the fitness of things if it returns to its deep cultural roots, because the ties between India and Nepal are based on Hinduism. That is what gives us the roti beti ka rishta, and now I am saying that this rishta goes even deeper and further. There is also the khoon ka rishta. Hundreds of Nepali soldiers have laid down their lives fighting for India in the post-independence wars and conflicts, starting from 47-48 to 62 war, to 1965 war, to 71 war, to the Kargil conflict, to our counter-terrorist operations. They have played a stellar role in defending India. So the bonds between India and Nepal are unbreakable. We need to strengthen them, and I do think the return of a Hindu kingdom, a constitutional monarchy in Nepal, will deepen Indo-Nepal ties and put them on a very strong footing. And I do think India should go the extra mile to provide economic support to the people of Nepal, to ensure that the Nepalese economy flourishes and there is job creation done to alleviate the suffering of the people. Thank you.